Our agenda is any amendments and adoption of the agenda. We had an opportunity to review the agenda, and do we have any amendments to it?
I have nothing, Your Worship.
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 Your Worship, I just wanted to mention that on Alberta Promise, we have Steve Marshman here to talk about it. And then questions to administration, there's a few there, but the council is going to be asking them anyway, so I'm not sure you want to list them down.
Okay, thank you.
And I guess the other item is, if we want to talk about Alberta Community Crime Prevention Association, and we could, if we want to, we could have, declare it. It's sort of up to council what they'd want to do on that.
Can we put that under new business under 8.5?
Sure.
And thank you.
I would move acceptance of the agenda as amended, Your Worship.
Any questions, comments? All in favor? Carried. Next item on our agenda is adoption of the February 5th regular council meeting minutes.
Your Worship, just on page 8, I'd like to just make a quick correction. At the top of the page with the speakers from Ringette and Minor Hockey, the name should be Mr. Mark Gron, G-R-O-N.
Any other changes?
I'd move that be amended.
All in favor of the amendment? And then all in favor, any questions or any comments in regards to the minutes as amended? None? All in favor of the minutes as amended? And carried. Delegations, we have none listed. We have one bylaw, bylaw 1403, Municipal Development Plan. And do we have a speaker that's going to be, no?
Worship, I'd move the council give first reading to bylaw 14-03.
Is that the way it's done? Let me just check first. Do we have any questions in regards to that? Comments? All in favor? We have one more.
Your Worship, I'd move the council refer bylaw 14-03 to the public hearing scheduled for April 16, 2014.
Comments or questions? None? All in favor? And carried. There is old business, one item, Alberta's Promise, 7.1. Do we have Mr. Marshman here?
Yeah.
Would you like to speak to it?
Good evening.
Early last year, Alberta Promise contacted me. They've done some research, vetted me as maybe a council member. There's 84 council members throughout the province. Grand Prairie, Lloydminster, South. Basically, it was started by Ralph Klein several years ago to mimic what they have going on in the States with Colin Powell starting America's Promise. It's a great organization. What it essentially does is ties everything together for youth support within the province. So we don't raise funds directly, but what we do is, like I've gone in, my own companies are involved in partners. Byron Smith Ford, I approached him and got him to partner up. Shannon with the Strathmore Youth Club approached her and got her partnered up in Wheatland County, and essentially gets everybody into one spot. And then if people like Shannon need to go out and raise funds, because they're generally short of funds, they can go to Alberta's Promise and say, this is what we'd like to do. And people at Alberta's Promise can point them in the direction within the government of Alberta to get support as far as, what's going on in other communities. Is there any grants or anything we can do to help you with this? Is there any educational stuff we can provide? Is there any supporting documents if you're going out to raise funds for people with drug issues in the youth? Well, we can go out in the province and we have all the statistics and everything that's going on, and can tie that into your plan to go out and raise funds. So it's supporting youth in the community and youth groups and basically helping tie everybody together. It's towns like Lloydminster and stuff that have really embraced it. I think it's gone really well. We worked with Husky up there last year and did, just toy drives and stuff for companies for youth in need. Yeah, it's I know you got the presentation last time when you were out, so it's a really good organization. We're working more towards, like, once you become a partner, go on their website, you'll see youth groups or different programs where people are looking for funds, and then you can also see where different businesses have, like IBM, okay, we want to donate used computers, but where can they go? And people like Shannon or schools or within the community can sign up and say, hey, we have a need. It just helps match, because otherwise a lot of businesses won't, even myself or Byron Smith, until my kids get of age, I don't know everything that's usually going on in my own community, but this kind of puts one place where it all ties together.
Do we have any questions? Deputy Mayor Peterson?
Your worship, I would like to move that Strathmore Town Council become a partner with Alberta's Promise. I'd like to thank Mr. Marshman for his presentation and for your partnering in the community as well. Thank you very much.
Any questions? Discussion? All in favor? Carried.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Next item is new business 8.1, 2014 aerial ortho photo collection.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
Where did you find that at work, Jason?
Pardon me?
It's like
Ortho photo? Yeah.
pictures of land bones.
Brian Burke.
Good evening. Our ortho photo collection agenda item this evening is an initiative that is a joint initiative through Rocky View, Wheatland County, and ourselves to obtain ortho photos for the region as part of a regional collaboration grant. Taking a bit of a different approach to the collection of these photos as working with the other municipalities. In the counties, Rocky View and Wheatland, this is a very significant undertaking because of the land area that they do look after and are responsible for. So there's a significant effort involved in collecting these ortho photos for use in their GIS system and maintaining accurate historical information going forward. So we use ortho photos as part of our GIS program as well. We have an ARC GIS program that we use, and then everyone in the administration has access to what we call ARC Reader, which is a read-only capability to access the aerial photo and other information within our GIS system. So we actually, Chris, our GIS tech, has it set up that we can look at historical photos. So we can look at photos. Our most recent one was last year. We worked with the county last year to get an aerial photo, and we can look at 2013, 2009, I believe back as far as 2004 on aerial photography or our ortho photos on our GIS system. So it's quite a beneficial tool to us from a historical perspective, but also just a simple aerial shot of, not simple, but an easy aerial shot or access to aerial information for our GIS system as well. So working, I guess this evening, what we're looking for is council support to partner with Rocky View and Wheatland County to apply for this regional collaboration grant and to partner with them basically going forward on the collection of this information.
Question?
Your worship, to Director, I want to applaud you guys for initiating this, or if you initiated this. It's good to see the county and the town and the Rocky View working together, and I strongly support this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions? I have a question. You talk about it being a grant, but I guess my question is there a cost to the town, and if so, how much?
There is. It's a cost that we estimate at about $2,000 for the aerial photo. It's a somewhat, I guess, a conservative estimate relative to the cost. Last year we purchased the aerial photo or the ortho photo from Wheatland County, which is a service offered by Wheatland County to residents as well as to the town. So we purchased it last year for a few $100s, I believe it was. We're anticipating that our cost after grant and what we're anticipating getting for grant would be approximately $800 for the information. So that's a conservative estimate, I guess it is. But prices have changed, I guess, a little bit for this photography, and that's the explanation that we received from some of our partners on the costs. So about, generally speaking, it's approximately $125,000 total, where our cost would be approximately $2,000, of which we would expect to get about $1,200 in grant funding for a total of $800 from our operations budget.
Good, thank you. Any other questions?
Your worship, I would move that council authorize the town of Strathmore to participate in an application for the regional aerial ortho photo project submitted by Wheatland County under the regional collaboration component of the regional collaboration program, and further that the town of Strathmore, a participant, agrees to abide by the terms of the conditional grant agreement governing the purpose and use of the grant funds.
Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? And carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is 2014 Street Improvement Project.
So our big roads project for the 2014 season is Lakeside Boulevard. In January, we released the RFP for the engineering component of the Lakeside Boulevard reconstruction or street improvement project. It was out for, I guess, between January 22nd and February 7th. So we closed the RFP on February 7th. At the close of our RFP for engineering services, we had 12 proposals from engineering firms. We were pleasantly surprised with the response to the RFP, and we're looking forward to what we would review as part of the RFP review. We did review the proposals, and it was based on, I'd included a copy of our RFP within the document or within the agenda program for council to understand our tender or our RFP process. There have been some questions previously regarding our RFPs, but thought that would be good information for council to have. So we did review it based on a 2-envelope system. So we do a technical review on the qualifications, experience, and proposal from the applicants, and then also a cost of services review. So we base it mostly on it's a 75% technical review, 25% cost, and that gives us the ability to, I guess, evaluate proponents' bids and their expertise and their proposal for the project prior to really seeing their cost of service and being influenced by that cost of service for our reviews. So we have a minimum acceptable level that we've established within our RFP process as well, where proponents have to get 75% of the 75 possible points to have their cost of services open. All the proponents made it past the 75%, so we did open all the cost of services envelopes and did review the cost of services for all the proposals, so that was good. All the applicants were qualified to the point that they met that 75% requirement for the project. So that was a good response to our RFP. After we reviewed the proposals, one of the highest rated technical proposals then also was identified as our lowest cost proposal. So we were pleasantly surprised that one of the proposals that we reviewed technically and gave high ratings to, they were tied with 2 other firms, was then our lowest bid. So that was good for us, I think, in terms of the review, and ultimately has led to us this evening recommending to council that we award the engineering services component of Lakeside Boulevard to Associated Engineering. Associated Engineering are a firm that we've worked with obviously recently with our Wildflower Reservoir project. We have good experience with Associated through that project. There's at least one individual that is identified on their project team for this project that's consistent or is also involved in our Wildflower Reservoir project, so we have experience with a member of the project team. And through their experience and through their submission for the RFP, they've demonstrated good experience on projects very similar to what we're proposing doing within Lakeside Boulevard, as well as bigger projects from a corporation perspective or a company perspective, and having a plan and a project plan that we feel is a good one for what we're looking for within the project. So I guess this evening, looking for council's support for awarding this project to Associated Engineering on the engineering services. And obviously, any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Who was first? Okay. Councilor Fuel.
Just a couple of quick questions. As part of the engineering report and bid, we're still good with that 10-week construction period. That still looks like it'll be a feasible, workable one.
Yes.
And I know this is just the engineering approval, but we're still keeping in mind the school year of Holy Cross and Sacred Heart with their diploma exams as far as timing of construction in their area.
Trying to, I guess minimize impact
yeah.
to the schools there. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. The proposed project plan has met. We've kind of within our tender documents, you'd see that we required or basically indicated that we need the project completed and the road opened prior to Heritage Days, based on our parade and all the activity that we see in town for Heritage Days. The proposal from Associated has met that with 10-week planned construction, and they acknowledge within the proposal the school division that's located adjacent to the construction area as well.
Thank you.
Questions? Councilor Rumpel?
Thank you, Your Worship. Seeing as there's MSI funding involved in the engineering services, so therefore it probably doesn't leave us much of an option as to who we would hire to contract that work to. Were there others that we could have chosen or picked because of the price that Associated quoted? Would that dictate pretty much that we would be required to award that contract to them?
Based on, through the chair, based on requirements of the grant?
Yes.
For tendering or RFP?
Yes.
We had contacted the MSI folks previously related to requirements for award of RFP related to a different project. And based on our review with the MSI folks, there is no specific requirement to award to the low bid, independent of an evaluation. There are for other grants, but from an MSI perspective, we've been informed that there's not an absolute requirement to award to the low bid. And as long as we lay out and define what our evaluation is within the RFP and that it's a fair and consistent method of evaluation, that's acceptable to MSI from the information we have through the grant.
I'd then like to move that the engineering services for the 2014 street improvement project at Lakeside Boulevard be awarded to Associated Engineering.
Can I get you to hold that motion? Because I think there's still some questions.
They can still ask questions after.
Well, normally we have the debate afterward. But... Okay, go ahead. Motion's on the floor. Go ahead, ask your questions, Denise.
Councilor Fuel answered or asked my questions, and
Thank you.
they were well answered.
Councilor Bookland, did you have some questions?
Well, I can ask after. It doesn't matter.
Well, ask the question now. The motion's on the floor.
Through the chair to Jesse. I don't have any problem with this, but I'm looking back to last year when we had Thomas Drive reconstruction, and that was supposed to be completed prior to Heritage Days, which in fact was and wasn't, right? They temporarily opened it up and then they shut it down again after.
Correct.
And this one here, they're saying to be substantially complete prior to Heritage Days. I'm just concerned if it's probably a little shorter stretch of road we're dealing with than Thomas Drive, I imagine.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you don't, in your mind, there's no, barring any major weather problems, there should be no problem there?
Through the chair, that was exactly the comment that I was going to make, is that barring any, Mother Nature events or unforeseen circumstances that we encounter the commitment's been made that they anticipate can be completed.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Motions on the floor? All in favor?
We didn't finish it, did we?
Yeah, I was gonna,
Oh,
I don't know that the motion
Motion's not finished.
indicated or an approval from Mayor and CAO for the authorization or the amount.
you do want to
For 132,000.
refresh your motion, please, Councillor?
As
What
recommended.
would that say? Anyway, so moved.
The motion as presented in the
Thank
minutes.
you, I appreciate that.
Thank you. So, all in favor of the motion? Carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jesse.
Could I ask a question, Your Worship?
Yes.
When you talk about unforeseen circumstances, you're talking about infrastructure issues, possibly, in that area?
Yeah, I mean.
You don't know what
it's-
you're gonna find
We don't
when
know
you
what
get
we're gonna find. When we did Lakeside, Ridge Road and Lakeside previously,
Right.
we found some surprises.
And this is older,
And this is older.
and in a slough bottom.
And in the slough bottom. But we do have the experience from
Yes.
Lakeside and Ridge Road that we can leverage. We were able to identify some infrastructure in that project that we weren't aware of, that now we're aware of, and I think that we'll be able to clean up some of that. And that's what's nice about having our engineering folks engaged now and going, because we can start to do that homework and really hit the ground running here. So we're, based on council's award this evening, we're going to mobilize Associated immediately and engineering work for the project.
I saw a wonderful $1.8 million imaging machine. Thank you.
Hopefully we don't run across too many surprises. It'll be a challenge. It's definitely not an easy,
Huh?
it's another challenging project. Thomas was a challenge, and this is
Older.
older and going to be another challenge for us.
Hopefully you don't find any dinosaurs.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse.
Next item on our agenda has been originated by the administration in regards to sheriffs. Would you like to address that?
Yes, a few months ago, Your Worship, I had a phone call from the sheriff saying that they'd be interested in maybe doing more patrolling on the Trans-Canada in particular through Strathmore. And it was pretty casual discussion. After that, a couple of counselors have talked to me about it, and they're wondering if we should formally pursue to find out what they would do, how often they would come, and so forth. Because there are quite a few sheriffs, and it's quite hard to get a hold of them. It's a process. But if council want, then I will pursue and find out if they will and how often they do it and so forth. So it's up to council if they want me to take time to pursue it.
Do we have any questions? Councillor Peel?
I just have a quick question through the chair to Dr. Stanford. So this is just so that we can compare apples to apples and see what they'd be offering, what the RCMP might do?
No, I think it's separate. We've already agreed on the RCMP one,
Okay.
and this would be something in addition. Or it could be at a later date or whatever. But no, we want to go ahead with the RCMP one, and the plan is that it would start maybe in March sometime and go into maybe July, so we can catch some summer traffic as well.
Other questions? Councillor Ruppel?
Well, through the chair to administration, I don't see any reason why we would not contact the sheriffs and find out what they can do for us. And regardless of what we're doing with the RCMP, there are never enough of them around. And if we can get the sheriffs at no cost to come into our community and help us in some problem areas, I know to me it's just a no-brainer. Why wouldn't we?
Okay. Any other questions? Deputy Mayor Peterson?
Thank you, Worship, through to administration. Are there other communities that use sheriffs in this regard, in the way that we're contemplating using RCMP to enhance service?
On the RCMP, yes, there are.
Yes, I know about them.
But the sheriffs, I do not know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then I will add a comment, I guess, to administration. I would find it valuable for council to receive the information so that we understand what the sheriffs have to offer and we can compare the service and make some informed decisions going forward down the road in regards to additional policing. And if there's a motion in regards to seeking that information, I can let you know right now that I'm planning on voting in favor of the motion. So do we have a motion?
Well, I believe there's one right here, the recommendation.
Please read it.
I'd move that council instruct administration to research the feasibility of utilizing the provincial sheriffs for town traffic enforcement.
Do we have any discussion? All in favor? And carried. Item 8.4, the pivot field, and that's an item being brought forward by administration. Would you please?
Yes, on the pivot fields, we came up with a possibility on the pivot fields, and we plan on advertising in the paper and so on. But for example, if somebody bought all the pivot field out of 582 acres, and then if they purchased it, we would purchase some of it back if they didn't need all that land. And so anyway, with that in mind, before you can sell property, you've got to have formal appraisal. We had our assessor give us some numbers, as you know, but formally, through municipal affairs, we'd need to get a proper appraisal. So I would like authority to hire an appraiser, accredited appraiser, to give us a written report with details on how much the land is worth. And then once we find that out, we want to advertise in the paper to see if somebody's interested in doing it.
Do we have any questions?
I do, but I'm not sure that it's directly linked to what you're talking about, because I certainly have no problem with hiring an accredited appraiser. I think that's a really great idea. But when we talk about selling the land and then making an agreement to purchase it back, do you anticipate any difficulty in terms of that being viewed as not being at arm's length?
Your Worship, we phoned and talked to Hugh Ham twice in detail about it, and he felt there was no problem at all.
Thank you. I thought that you had told us that before, and I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Any other question? Can I have a motion then, please?
Your Worship, I move the council direct administration to take steps in obtaining a accredited appraiser for the pivot fields.
Do we have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor? And carried. We have an 8.5.
Yeah, right.
In regards to the letter. Yeah. Who will be speaking on that item?
Your Worship, I think maybe the Worship might want to.
The Worship can. A letter was received by the Alberta Community Crime Prevention Association, and they want to declare Fraud Prevention Month in Alberta, and that month is to be
March, I believe.
Yes, March.
Starting February 28th.
Starting on February 28th. On February 28th, 2014 at 10 a.m., we ask that you log in to your favorite social networking website or your work website from your computer and change your password. Then, to help demonstrate your support of Fraud Prevention Month in social media, we invite you to tweet the following message. The message being, I pledge to regularly change my passwords in support of ACCPA's Fraud Prevention Month. And the hashtag is ABFraud2014 at ABCrimePrevent at your Twitter address. And this is being brought forward, and I support the idea of in regards to changing your passwords and trying to prevent fraud. Unfortunately, today, there are far too many people being taken advantage of, and we all need to take steps, even if they are little steps, to prevent any fraud possible. I personally support this, and if somebody would like to make a motion in regards to accepting this as information.
I would move that we accept this for information, Your Worship, and I also think that I would encourage our local media to put it into the paper in some way. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Motion on the floor. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, Your Worship, just a comment. I have a short-term memory loss, so changing my passwords on a monthly basis is, I already have a book with all my passwords. I'm going to have to get another book, I guess.
Just
But absolutely,
photocopy it for us.
I support this.
Some people, and I don't encourage all people to do this, use dirty words and they don't forget them.
Oh, thanks for the, I'll have to keep that in mind.
I apologize. Anyways, there's a motion on the floor, and no further discussion? All in favor? Carried. Administration, there's no items to be brought forward. Committee and departmental reports, none. And questions between councillors and administration. I do believe that there's going to be, and I do have one item that I'm going to mention so I can update council. Who's first?
I can get it, okay.
Oh, go ahead, Dwight.
I can get a start. Calgary Stampede Parade. We tried for many years, probably 10 years, to get into the parade in Calgary, and we couldn't get in. I wrote and phoned them every year. Finally, to our surprise, they said, yes, you can go in. So we went into the parade. You have to fill applications and be approved and all. And we went in for, I don't know, three or 4 years. And then it was decided by the last council not to do it. So we haven't done it for a few years. I guess some of the pro and con before council talk about it. There's maybe some benefits. Lots of people see the float going by. It's a challenge doing it. You've got to be in there, right in there at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you can't be late. And then you take the float and go around. You get judged and so on. And we have our float and trailer. In total, we spent about $50,000. The float was updated. You have to update every couple of years. So we've got 2 different packages that can go on the float to make it different. We had one trailer, and then we ended up having to get a bigger trailer because we had to enlarge and change it. So right now it's sitting in a large trailer in Public Works, large enclosed trailer. I guess the biggest challenge is staffing it and for council to volunteer to go down there to do it. And after that, for a start.
Okay. Councillor Ripple?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through the chair to our CEO, what do you recall what the reason was for us dropping out of the parade?
The only thing I remember is it was a challenge getting, in the beginning, the councilors were really good about doing it. And then as time went on, they got tired of doing it, going in at that time and doing it and all. And at one time, we took our float to probably 8 or 10 different parades. Mackenzie Valley, Langdon, Rockford, Standard, Azar, and go on and on, lots of them. And then gradually, it just kept petering off until recently, we've only done maybe a couple of parades.
A subsequent question, if I may.
Yes.
Had nothing to do with the financial end because of their demands that they put on us as far as changing our float every couple of years. And
But we already changed it, and then you can go back to your original one. Because see, we had the one, we had to change, we went to there, and then you can go back. And if we were to do it now, it's been a few years, we could use either one of the units on it. And if you remember, we had one unit on it, and then we changed it and put a big circle on it. And to me, a lot of it was staffing to do it, and it's a lot of time and effort.
Councillor Field?
I just have a quick question through the chair to Dr. Stanford. In the past, did past councillors or past council receive per diems for being in that parade? Like, is that something that they would claim? Or
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And of course, we don't have per diems, which makes a difference.
Councillor Moll?
Your Worship, a couple comments on this to Dr. Stanford. I think it shows really good community support, us supporting local parades and so forth around there. It's also, I think it's an economic development option. I know we receive quite a bit of publicity over us attending. I have walked that parade route myself 3 years in a row, and Strathmore was always really well received, and I'm prepared again to make that trip for another 4 years if this council is willing to allow that to continue.
Councillor Field?
Question through the chair. Do we know how much, I know you said we could probably use our float this time because it hasn't been seen in a while, but are there repairs that would have to be done on it now to get it ready?
I don't think so.
Local.
And my only other comment is if we've got to upgrade or change every couple of years, to me those thousands of dollars would be, I think, better spent on trees and things like that in our own town. I'd like to, I know there's no way to find out, but I just don't see the financial spin-off or the, I don't know if you can measure what you're going to get out of going through a parade.
No, you can't measure it.
No.
Yeah, Councillor Moll?
I think Dr. Stanford.
Oh, did you want to say?
That's okay. I was just going to mention, I think one of the things that was really good, though, is when we went to a few of the local ones. I felt, for example, Rockyford was really key to me, and we deal with them lots. They all shop here and everything else, and to go out there, council may want to decide to go to 1 or 2 or 3 of those or whatever. I went with several times, and including Gleason, and people in Gleason, I can tell you, really appreciate it.
Your Worship, I look at this like us buying a cow at the 4-H thing, or a steer, or a sheep, or a lamb. I think it shows good community support. I think it builds relationships with different regions and areas. And we interact with some of the people from Calgary. We interact with some of the people from Wheatland County and Rockyford and Gleason and Hazard, Standard. I just think it shows really good community support, and you can't measure what we receive back from us buying sheep or cows or stuff like that. We buy at different auctions. So I really see this as a goodwill. I know going to Rockyford, they absolutely adored us, and then would give us tickets to come in there, and we would, and the mayor would take us and show us the rodeo and show us this and show us that. It was almost building a bit of a relationship with some of these people. So I really see this as an absolute benefit.
Councillor Buckland?
Thank you, Your Worship. My opinion on the Calgary Stampede parade entry makes entirely no sense to me at all. I can see zero economic benefits coming out of this, rather probably a few $1,000s of expenses. I am a full supporter of staying local, and by that I mean communities like Lambton, Rockyford, which I tried to get into last year and I got shut down. Carsland, Bicycle, Standard, all these residents in these communities, they shop in Strathmore. Why? What are we doing in the city of Calgary? I have no idea. I am firmly against this. I will not even participate in it. I stay out of Calgary during the Calgary Stampede. But I will volunteer for each. If we want to go to all these other places, I will definitely volunteer for all of them. I just don't see no benefit in being in the Calgary Stampede Parade.
Okay, thank you. No other questions? And I will have a question or two. Dr. Stanford, you mentioned that the cost of this item to build was $30,000 and then approximately another $20,000 in regards to trailer. What benefit, and I know you don't need to answer this, but what benefit would we have if we left that in the trailer and didn't show it off? If we've spent the money, and there's going to be some minor costs because we will have to change the logo on that, there will be some additional costs. And I think Council is aware of our financial picture and how cautious we want to be with the money. Regarding awareness, if our float is in the Calgary Stampede and it's viewed around the world, we're not going to measure if that person from Europe decided to move to Strathmore. We're not going to be able to measure that. You cannot measure how effective Coca-Cola is in regards to their Coke machine in the family center or wherever it may be. But Coca-Cola still puts their machine there with the logo on it because there is a benefit. It's almost like putting your nameplate on the side of your vehicle if you're advertising your employer or your company. It's a benefit. And I'm going to ask the question in regards to labor in regards to the float. I would suggest that we likely have to use town employees to haul it there, to take it out, and to set it up. And we would need a driver for it, I'm assuming. And yes, there would be some salary involved there. I don't know whether or not council has to be on that float. And looking at myself, I'm sure there's more attractive people that they could put on the float. And our youth club may be willing to volunteer and support our town at some of the parades, such as Calgary. And before we say it has to be councillors, we might want to look at other options. I will make myself available to promote my town at any and every parade that we so decide to take that float to. I would be happy to do that. And one thought that I had is our own Strathmore Stampede Heritage Days may have a princess that could ride on that float. And that's something that we would need to discuss with the Agricultural Society to make sure that there would be somebody available. So if, and there is no motion in regards to this, and if there's a motion to further investigate whether or not we want to do the float and come back to council and make a decision, I would be happy with that. So if somebody wants to either take it off the table and say that we don't want to use it, or if somebody wants to make a motion, we'll entertain it either way.
I don't want to make a motion, Your Worship, at this point, but to Councillor Walls, through the chair, does the Strathmore Egg Society have a float?
No, they do not.
So they'd probably be happy to kick in then and refurbish the float and put a running of the bulls on. I mean, because after all, that is what brings the people to this town. Our running of the bulls.
I'll ask one of our sponsors. Would you be interested in helping?
Oh, Councillor Walls, quit dodging! No, no, no. And with regards to what Councillor Blockland said and Councillor Walls, I think Rockyford and Gleason are definitely, buying the sheep, and that's no disrespect to sheep. Yeah. But the Calgary Stampede is steak and lobster, and we've become a sheep kind of town. So I think if the Egg Society kicked in, and we could promote the running of the bulls, which is the biggest draw this town ever. I can't really think of any really famous people in Strathmore, but except the bulls, when they come.
Yeah.
I think it would be something to really consider.
So does anybody want to put a motion on the floor? I'm going to let it die right now.
I'm prepared to make a motion that we further investigate the Calgary Stampede and other parades for the use of our float.
And to bring costs forward?
And to bring costs forward.
And to look at collaboration.
And to look at collaboration and partnerships.
Thank you, Councillor Wong.
And bad ones.
And we have no money.
To also kick him personally.
Any discussion?
You know, Your Worship, Councillor Fuel is the most popular councillor, undoubtedly. Like, we know this through votes. And so he possibly could be the most famous person in Strathmore. I don't know if you've ever heard him play the guitar and sing, but if we put him on the float in his Elvis suit, I mean, then it could be good. You know, really.
Oh, I hate you.
Oh.
There is a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Did you want the motion read again? No?
No.
Okay. All in favor?
Did it say other parades or just?
One,
It did
Just
say,
all
the
the-
motion
just
did
all the
say
parades.
other
all the
parades.
praise.
All the praise.
All the praise.
Just go to take a look.
Yeah, and
Looking.
okay.
Yeah, we're looking, kicking
And
the
it's unanimous. Okay, carried. Okay. Other items. Who has another item?
I got 5, Your Worship.
Oh, good.
Well,
I only have one. Small one.
go ahead, Councillor Blow.
4, I guess we just dealt with the parade.
Okay.
Potholes. Maybe I can go through the chair to Jesse on this.
Good evening. I guess.
I just well bring my golf clubs out to Thomas Drive and start practicing. Have you noticed what's happening on Thomas Drive?
Yeah, we're aware. We've been speaking.
I'm just curious what we're going to do about that since that's a brand new road.
Yeah, we're currently in a maintenance period where we've issued substantial completion to the contractor. There's a 2-year warranty period as part of that agreement between the time that the substantial completion is reached to the time that the final lift goes on the roadway. So within that maintenance agreement, as part of our existing contract with North Star, any deficiencies or any issues with the roadway are to be repaired.
So is this normal occurrence that these potholes are showing up?
Well, it indicates that in that area there's a challenge with the asphalt. So we actually have the engineers coming out tomorrow, and we have the contractor coming out as well. So we're investigating that. We're aware of that, and it will be rectified.
I noticed the big one's already filled.
Well, we've maintained that, I guess, from a safety perspective.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've put some cold mix in there to I guess maintain it until such time as we get into a construction season. What I would expect, or what I'm anticipating, is there's not a lot of asphalt plants currently open within a reasonable distance from here, and so to do that now obviously isn't reasonable. But once the asphalt plants are available and the roadway is dry, we would expect that would be saw cut out, any repairs done to the base that are necessary, and return to basically new.
Okay, I was just looking for information.
And just, if I may, they still have another another layer to put on that road anyways, do they not?
There is, yeah. There's a top lift of asphalt that still needs to go on that roadway, and we planned that for 2 years from 2015.
Okay.
My next point, maybe while Jesse's sitting here, I don't know if it's you or administration, the town signs on the east and west end of town are on the highway. Not you. Okay. You're excused. To the CEO, then Dwight, they're very nice looking signs. Problem is you need glasses to actually see them from the highway. They're kind of small. Is there any chance we can realize there's lots of rules and regulations regarding signs in municipalities on highways, but can we not get them closer in? Chestermere, for example, has their sign right in the ditch, isn't it, as you go by?
Yeah.
Can we not look at getting that sign moved in?
We'll look at that, Your Worship. Now, on the east side, it's not going to be bad, because you come over the hill there, and I think it's okay. The one on the west end sits back quite a ways, and it makes it hard. And the size, I was hoping could have been bigger, but it was costly enough just doing that size.
I honestly haven't seen the one on the east side.
The east side, it's not bad there. You come over and there it is. Then I guess another thing is we're going to have to put some kind of lights on them so you can see them. And I'm hoping that we can work with Communities in Bloom to beautify them both a bit and so forth. but I'm volunteering. Linda and myself will check to see if there's any possibility that we could get the one on the west end moved further closer to the highway. Linda may have a comment.
Yeah, we can check with transportation, find out what their rules are. But I think we always did have
Yeah.
plans to lighten them up and do some landscaping as well.
And just if I might have some clarification on that, with the service road there, it may be difficult to get the sign on the west side moved closer to the main highway. I'm speculating. And we'll wait and see what you come up with. Okay.
And your worship, maybe it could be put in a teeny bit further different location. For example, our community event sign is sort of in the median there, right? It's between the service road and the highway. And maybe, I don't know, Linda will talk to them, see if they'd let us put it in that in between there, even if we have to do it a teeny bit to the east.
Okay, two more things and I'm done. I'd like to let council and administration know that I'll be out of town starting Sunday. I will definitely miss the March 5th council meeting. I might miss the March 19th council meeting if I'm still out of the country. I'll have my cell phone with me so I can keep cap on emails. Which brings me to my last point, spring workshop, which we're probably going to discuss probably while I'm not here. And my main concern is where we're going to have this and what we're going to do. Personally, from my councillor side of things, I would prefer to see it stay right in the room here. I don't see any need for us to go anywhere else. I don't understand why we want to file mileage expenses and everything else that goes on with moving it away from here. Myself, if it stays here, I can be here at 8:30 in the morning. If we're going to go somewhere else, it'll be 10 o'clock in the morning before I get there. I have a business to look after in the morning before I get here, and that's the way it's got to be. So I was hoping we could chat on it and see what your feelings are.
Councillor Field?
I agree with Councillor Blockland. I like the fact that 3.5 years ago when we formed our council, the one prior to this, that we stopped doing the retreats and we did everything in town, and that way we could work longer if we needed to. We were close by, and if we did decide to go for a meal, we were supporting something in town. So if we could stay in Strathmore, I think that's the best thing. I agree with the fact that we'll be driving at different times and filing mileage claims and things. So I'd like to see it in Strathmore as well.
Any further discussion? Okay.
Yes, Your Worship.
Deputy Mayor
I've
Peterson?
only been, Your Worship, at one workshop, which was the one right after the election. And I think that it's fine to stay here as long as there's parameters around how we are. So I didn't like the fact when we were in our last weekend of meetings that we stopped partway through, people went home and then had to come back. I didn't find it helpful or useful, and I found that it was not a team building exercise. And new councils, I think, work much better if they have common vision and time to discuss that vision and a commitment to doing it within a confined area. In other words, a captive audience. And it doesn't matter where that is. And I agree with Councillor Fuel, wherever it is, the cost is a big issue. So as long as there's parameters around it that allow us to do the job that we've been elected to do, which is to reflect our constituents' vision for our community in a way that moves us forward. And I don't think that that's easy to do when we have that capacity to walk in and out of this building and go home. That's why original councils went away. And so I think it's something for consideration. I don't know that there needs to be a decision tonight, but like I said, I'm fine to stay here. I think it's great in the interest of saving money, but then there needs to be some council. I think it would behoove us to put some parameters around it if we stay.
Your Worship, I totally agree with the Deputy Mayor. This is the last council, the last workshop. It was totally rushed. There was lots of additional questions that we should have been answering, and we were time crunched. There was no real team building. And I know 6 years ago when we took off, we went to some different places, and we really became a team. And I'm really hoping that this council will see the benefit in that and go away or whatever, or stay here to set some parameters, just really start building this team.
Councilor Fuel?
Well, as far as what Councilor Walls was saying, the council that was prior to the one that I first came on may have gone away, but I don't know if it was a really cohesive, tight team. There were a lot of problems. I think we all know what happened during those 3 years. So I think we can team build and we can design it in the framework of staying here, and we can build the parameters you're talking about as far as not leaving and staying right here. If we do stay here, I would like that idea that we work through and we're all in the one room. And I think we can build a camaraderie just by working together, even if it's in our own town. But I agree with the idea that we set it up so that we're here, we're focused, and we don't leave.
Nobody leaves till the work is done.
That's right. You scared me.
Further questions? Councilor Bothman?
Well, if I remember, going back to the previous council, the first workshop weekend we attended, we started Friday night, we went all day Saturday, and we were finished by noon on Sunday. So I don't understand what the rush is here to have everything done in 6.5 hours on Saturday. If we have to come in Friday night and stay here all day Saturday and work half a Sunday, then so be it.
I think that's
Yeah,
a good
that's a
idea.
great idea.
Absolutely.
I'll just ask some questions of administration. The area or the site that was being considered was 20 kilometers out of town. Okay, so that would at least support our neighboring community. And I believe the cost in regards to the room, using the room for one day, was $250. And so indeed there is some additional costs. And if we are concerned in regards to those additional costs, the kilometers there and back, those kinds of things, they have to be taken into consideration. So, and I will leave it up to council as to what their wishes are as to what we should do for our spring workshop.
Do you want a motion for that or anything?
Do we need a motion on that? I think we're just trying to get a consensus as to what we want to do. Yes, okay, we'll do a motion.
Well, no, before we do, can I?
Sure, by all means.
I think, Your Worship, one of the things, before we do a motion, I think it would be good for council to think about what's on the agenda, and we need administration's help with that, of course, and we need to talk about those visioning exercises that we've discussed, and we need to think about time management around that. So it's very difficult to make a motion here when we don't have that information. And with regards to what Councillor Blockland recommended, if the time means that we're here Friday, Saturday, and part of Sunday, then that's what it should be. But I don't think administration can make that judgment at this point.
I guess one of the things we could say is each workshop is different. In the fall, it's mainly on doing all the operational budget, and it can take a lot of time, and probably should take more time. The spring workshop is goals and objectives that you've set, that we've recorded and all. We want to talk how we're coming on those for the few months, and then our short-term and long-term capital projects. And that workshop is usually less time because there's only so many capital projects that we have on our list.
So do we want to worry about a motion at this point then?
Well, I was just, sorry, Your Worship, I was just wondering if it's the philosophy of staying or going, and I think whether or not the administration is, well, if the administration is able to give us a framework as far as what time we need, that's great. We can spend that same time there or here. And I think my motion, if I was to bring one up, would be to keep it here locally in Strathmore, and whatever the administration feels is time needed for the fall budget and the spring budget, it's fine. We would still do it here in Strathmore. That's where I would see it.
Councillor Method?
Yeah, through the chair, if we would just go to this place 20 kilometers away or whatever, and spend the day there and come back at nighttime, I would not be in favor of doing it at all. That's a waste of time and gas.
Okay.
If you want to go away somewhere and do it, I think the fall workshop, and we should have done it last fall. We would have gotten to know some of the new councillors, the new people. We would have built some rapport, we could have bonded. And but the spring workshop is not the time to do it. The fall workshop is ideal, and I would be in favor of doing that for the fall workshop.
So are you still looking for a motion? Okay. Councillor Fuel, would you like to make a motion, please?
I will try, Your Worship. Your Worship, I would move that the fall and spring.
No, the spring,
Just the spring? Okay, Your Worship, I would move that the spring budget meetings, or the spring
Workshop.
budget meeting workshop be held here in Strathmore on April 12th, Saturday, April 12th,
Any discussion? In the council chambers.
in the council chambers.
Your Worship, I'd like to add a friendly amendment on that there be parameters set around council's attendance at the actual function.
We all know that we have
Complete the
responsibilities to be here.
Well, it's maybe the friendly amendment, Councillor Walls through the chair, is that if we need to extend the hours to complete the agenda, then we'll do so.
Okay, I'm accepting that. Yeah.
I don't know
Okay,
if
any
Councillor
discussion?
Fuel accepts that.
Good with that?
Okay, Councillor Loken, you had a question? Or are you just going to vote?
No discussion.
Discussion? Go ahead. Let me have your discussion.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Everybody leave their cell phones at home and we got no problem. No, seriously.
Your Worship, is Councillor Fuel okay with that amendment?
Yes. Yes, I am.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Councillor Rempel.
Why are we even making a motion on this?
Just to put it in writing.
We've had workshops for, I don't know how many years, and we never had a motion from council as to when we were going to have this workshop. And I don't know why we'd have a motion on this today, or tonight.
Because we're doing it in front of the public and we're trying to
We've
be
done
open.
it every other time in front of the public as well.
Councillor
Then there's
Rempel,
no problem.
I can't say what you did in the past. I'm just telling you
We
what
don't
we're
need a
doing right now.
motion.
You don't need a motion.
I understand.
I will ask our municipal clerk, because our municipal clerk should have a little basis in regards to whether or not we should be having a motion.
We have a motion.
Can you please give us some direction?
Yes, Your Worship. If council is instructing administration to set a date and place for the workshop, then a motion would be
In order.
recommended.
Thank you. And we've set a date and a place. We have a motion on the floor.
Question.
All in favor? And it's carried. Okay. Did you have another item, Councillor Bolton?
No, thank you, Your Worship. That's it for me.
Thankfully.
Deputy Mayor Peterson, you have the floor.
Your Worship, on March the 24th, we have a scheduled meeting with the Wheatland County Partnership. And we just had a meeting with Wheatland County and WID, which was very, very positive in terms of collaboration. And I'd like to bring two items forward and ask for council's support to have those items be placed on the agenda for that meeting, and also to seek the support of the County of Wheatland and our partners in having those items brought forward to that meeting in the interest of collaboration. The first one is to talk about, at that meeting on March 24th, the development of a seniors council. It's something that this council has been discussing, and I believe that it's something that would be worthwhile to work in collaboration with the County of Wheatland, because many of our seniors in this community are people who move in from the rural districts, and I believe that they would have a great deal of insight to offer. The second thing I would like to bring forward for discussion at that meeting is something that I've heard Councillor Fuel talk about many times in the past, and that is the possibility of collaborating on a museum. And even though we may not have a place at this time, although there's been some consideration of it, it may be timely to start talking about gathering a collection and looking for places to store that. And definitely our rural counterparts are in a much better position to offer those kinds of spaces and insight into who would be best suited to do that. And so I am asking for council support. I don't need a motion, but just council support to be able to ask administration to bring those items forward on the agenda at that meeting. Thank you.
Any questions or discussion that we want to bring forward at this point? Okay. I'll support that. Is there any other items to be brought forward to administration? Then I will bring my one item that I have to bring forward. And the item that I want to bring forward is just to inform council. Bylaw 1401, I haven't signed it yet. I am in discussion with administration in regards to whether or not it's 100% correct. And so that bylaw 1401 may or may not be brought back to council for to be reissued or rewritten, just to let you know. And that's in regards to the supplemental assessments. Yeah. And that's just for your information. Any other items on the agenda? No?
Worship, I move to adjourn.
No.
Oh, need to go in camera?
Sorry.
No, there's no items in camera, sir.
Move to
There's no
adjourn.
Move to adjourn. The motion is on the floor to adjourn, and there's no discussion. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.